One of the things that we think about in business is business can be quite challenging, can't it? It can be quite a difficult thing to do. And I was thinking, what's another thing that's very challenging and difficult to do? And I would say Rubik's Cube is probably quite difficult and challenging to do. And I was just talking to someone earlier who was saying that he often tries to use this as a stress reliever. The only thing is he gets nearly there and gets more stressed out every time he has to mess it up in order to be able to put it back together. So I think business is very similar to a Rubik's Cube in that solving a Rubik's Cube is actually no fluke. There is a system to solve a Rubik's Cube, and I'd like to show you how to do that today. Does that sound good? Yeah? You'd like to learn? I'll show you the steps that you need to take in order to solve a Rubik's Cube. Now, I'm not very clever. Has anyone here solved a Rubik's Cube before? Ah, very, very good. We've got some good, clever people here. Did it involve smashing the Rubik's Cube and put it back together? Swapping the stickers over. The way I solved a Rubik's Cube to start off with is I looked at YouTube. I saw that there were people who were solving this in 20 or 30 seconds, and it made me think, hang on a minute, if someone can solve a Rubik's Cube in 20 or 30 seconds, surely there has to be a system in how to do this. And who knows that there are entrepreneurs out there who just seem to be very successful at being able to start a business and then another one and then another one and be successful at everything they do. That is because they have systems in how they do it. Now, I cannot solve a Rubik's Cube in 20 seconds, but I can solve one, and I can show you how to do it now. And the first thing to start off with is a base. And like any business, you need a really good foundation. Perhaps the first thing to know, though, is that these centre pieces on each face don't change. They will always be in that spot, which means this will always be a yellow face, this will always be a white face, this will always be a green face, and so on and so forth. They're like our game changers in our business. The parts of our business that actually are the pillars in our business, the things that don't change. And when we've got a good foundation, all these bits line up with the same face. So there's three, we've got a white face here, but we need to have the three yellows on this side to match with that one. Anyway, that's a good place to start. It's actually quite easy to do, and if you'd like to chat with me afterwards, I can show you how to do that. The second thing is, every piece on this Rubik's Cube has its place. And there's a system to put that piece in its place, just like the systems that we have in our businesses. So for example, here's a piece up here. It's got green and orange on an edge. That belongs over here, right? Now I've got a system to move this piece from here down to that place there. It's a system I learnt by copying someone else's system. There we go. It's in place. Thank you, Music Man. Now, what's going on in my head is a move sequence, and I'm just performing that move sequence here as I do it. And then I just go through each piece, one after the other. Sorry about the pauses in my talking, but you know how we love to be able to do two things at once, and sometimes we need to focus on what we do. Oh, there's a lesson in that one too, isn't there? Yeah, very good. Okay, we've got our position there, we've got another one here. Okay, so some of the systems that we have in our business, for example, our courtesy system. We're talking about the way that as staff we interact with each other, saying please and thank you as a minimum, setting standards for courtesy amongst our staff. A system, for example, when someone walks in the door, the first 20 seconds procedure, how are they greeted, how are they dealt with when they come into the room. These are all procedures and systems you can have in your business, and they're all part of getting the pieces in the right place. But there comes a time when, as a business owner, or as a clinic director, you need to survey a situation and apply or choose the right system to apply in certain situations. And that's the step that we're up to now. We've done the base, we've got these first row of edges, we've got a second row of edges now. And now what we need to do is get a face on the top. Okay? So I look at the position of the blue pieces here, knowing that this needs to be a blue face, and I need to implement a system that's going to get us to the result of the blue face. So, sometimes you do one thing, then you get a different situation. So, okay, well that got us to a certain point, now we need to apply a different system. Just remembering that it's no fluke, it's just a system, right? Now we're getting closer. We've got our corners in the right spot. And a lot of people get to this point and they go, oh, I'm nearly there. That's kind of good enough, isn't it? Look what I've done. I got to that point. And that's often where we stop. And we need that extra push to be able to go, no, you can achieve the goal. You can do what you want to do. Tidy up those 1%ers. They're the things that really make a big difference overall. But then at this point, you might think, but I have to mess things up to get to the result. And sometimes you have to mess things up a little bit. Even when you're so close, nearly there, you still have to mess the whole situation up a little bit to get to where you want to be. So I'm about to mess things up a bit, but I trust the system. And I trust that I'm going to get to my result after messing things up. We're getting close. We're nearly there. You saw that? How you mess things up, but things come back together? Drum roll, please.
So if you mess things up, you still got the goal in mind.
I still know exactly where I want to go. I still got a system in mind to get there. And sometimes we encroach on other systems in order to get there. But the magic is that if you do it right, now my next challenge is to do that in 30 seconds. But all that aside, I just hope you take one thing away from that, and that is, what we're talking about here is just applying simple principles in your current context, using step-by-step procedures to get to the result. And yes, you may need to mess things up. And yes, you may need to see it through to the end in order to be able to be where you want to be. But the result is this. I mean, and that speaks a lot. It's success and it's being where you want to be. So.